Everybody, it's Angel from Halo Inspirations. We give you inspirations to help you spread beauty and joy through your quilting journey. Happy hump day. Whoop, whoop. Happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. Thank you for being patient with us as we open that brick and mortar, but we are coming back at you. And what are we doing today? Well, guess what? We are talking about thread. I get so excited about thread, guys. It's not even funny. But more specifically, we're talking about choosing threads for your quilting. It's a question that I actually have received a number of times from some of you. So we're going to talk about how I choose picking threads for quilting. But I want to say to you guys, just like I say a lot, there are no rules. And I don't even think I can tell you there's really guidelines. Because it's really about what makes your heart sing. There is no right or wrong. However, if you're still wanting just to see how my thought process goes and why I have those thought processes, I'm going to take you into 4 different blocks and we're going to decide, and I'm going to show you how I choose my threads. So, are you ready? Let's go ahead and pull you under this camera, and I'll see you guys in just a sec. I'll be really honest with you guys. A lot of times I actually like to match the color of the fabric and the thread, or match the thread to the fabric color. I do that because I don't really want the quilting to be the star. I want the piecing to be the star, okay? So I'm okay with going through, like, these are all red, these are all beige, and then dark brown. I'm okay with quilting those smaller areas, cutting threads to change a new color. Therefore, I will tell you that's my usual system, okay? Now, when I'm going to go pick colors, if you'll notice, we have red. I will grab my Aurifil. I do tend to quilt with Aurifil 50 weight. And I try to match a color to the fabric. But I got to tell you, this isn't the perfect solution, okay? This is a starting point. So you can lay your card right next to it, your swatch card, and really try to figure out what would be the best. Now, I will tell you, I feel like I'd start with this color, but I don't have it, okay? So what do? What I do have is this color right here. Now, if you look at that, it's pretty close, okay? But it looks like it would stand out too much. So what I do is I actually get the spool of thread, whichever one I'm trying to work with, and I'll lay it out across the quilt, okay? And I want to see how the thread interacts with one thread, how it's going to look on the fabric. And because I don't have the exact color, I do want to choose something that has the same value. So this is a dark red on this piece of fabric right here. So I went with the darkest red that I have. And if you can see, I actually do have this quilted with that color. I'll flip it over here so you can see that. And it does blend very, very nicely. The same thing I did with the beige. And it's quite interesting. Now, if you look at this beige, it's a light beige. It's light in value, right? So I've had actually 2 different light beiges. And this is the one that I ended up choosing. Now, if you'll notice, if I put it across this dark brown, it stands out pretty good. And it does stand out pretty well on the red also. But inside this beige color, it does blend very, very well. And that is actually what I ended up using. I know that's probably hard for you to see, but because it blends well on white too. Because it has the same value. It's a light color on a light beige background with a light beige thread. Now see, if I just laid this out as the whole spool, I don't feel like that gives a real good representation of what actually it's going to look like. So again, I pulled it off and I laid it across the fabric, and I noticed that it blends really well. I also did not have the exact color of the dark brown. Now I'll pull out this spool here. It doesn't look too bad like that, right? Well, I will tell you off camera, it is just a little different. It's not exact. But guess what? It's a bad representation when you just have the spool on top. You want to pull the thread out and you want to lay it across the fabric that you're going to quilt with. And it does blend really well. Dark in color, dark in color of thread. Okay, so I'm using the same value. And I did, in fact, quilt that, okay, right inside that block. Now, I've done very easy quilting today because I'll be real with you. I wanted to make sure I can get the video done for you. But it just is a good representation. This piecing is really standing out. The quilt block is the star and not the quilting. Okay. So I wanted to show you that. That's usually what I try to do, is I try to match. But let's say I want to use one color thread. One thread of color. Okay, so maybe you're asking, why would you want to use one color? Well, let's be real. Sometimes we just want to get it quilted and we don't want to break 1,000 threads. And so we just want to sit down and just quilt it out, but we still want to, we'll choose the one color just so we don't have to break threads and we can just get through this and do some fun with some quilting and have a good time doing it. But again, I wanted the piecing and I wanted the fabrics to be the star. So what I did was, again, I went with the same value with most of the block and I picked a neutral. So I'll tend to pick a neutral that I feel like will go very well with all of the colors. Okay. Now it does stand out a bit in the light beige because it is a darker, but it wasn't a lot of it. Most of this block is dark in value, and I just didn't feel like it was enough quilting, or that it was just really going to just really deter from the actual piecing and block. Again, there are no rules, guys. It's what makes your heart sing, and I just wanted this really to be popping on the fabric and the piecing, so I chose the neutral in the same value. This is actually a dark gray, and it's lovely. It just really quilted out very nicely. And again, I did the easy method and I did some squigglies, and I think it just turned out super gorgeous. Love, love, love this block. So that's how I do that. But let's just say I wanted the quilting to stand out because, you know, maybe you want to show off, or maybe you want to add some texture to your quilt. So this was fun. They're the same colors, they're the same fabric. So I have the dark blue and the dark red, and I have the beige on this side of the log cabin, right? So what I chose to do in this piece is I used the value and color of this beige. So again, I took that beige, right, and I pulled out a thread, and I just wanted to see what that would look like. And I thought this turned out pretty darn cool because inside down here, you can't hardly see the quilting, but we have an extension coming off into the dark. And I ended up liking a lot. Now, if you're wondering, why didn't I use the dark gray? Because then it would have popped down here and then it would have blended well inside the dark, right? Just like on the other one. I'll be honest with you guys. This was a lot of beige, okay? This was half the block almost. So when I pick threads, I usually want a light color thread on a dark background instead of a dark color thread on a light background. And the reason is because, again, there are no rules, but in my opinion, I feel like the dark color threads tend to, on light fabric, tend to show my errors more than a light thread on a dark fabric. So I tend, if I need one color and I want the quilting to show, then I generally pick a lighter color on dark fabric instead of the dark on the light fabric. That's just my preference. Again, there are no rules, right? We want to be happy. So, again, though, it was one thread for the whole block, okay? I went again with a neutral, but I matched it to this side, and the darker has the light thread. The last one I want to share with you guys, I haven't quilted yet. So, I have some thoughts. This is a very different block. We've got some blues, some pinks, some yellows, and an off-white background with some brown crosses, right? I will be honest, my go-to a lot of times is this Dove Aurifil. It is a neutral and it is light. So I went ahead and I pulled it. Now, to be real with you, that blends pretty darn well. It blends well inside the blue, it blends well inside the pink and the yellow, and you will see it a little bit in the background. You can, just barely though. And that would be a nice choice. But I wanted to have some fun this time. Remember, there are no rules. It's what makes your heart sing. So the second color that I pulled was a blue. And I think this is, it's a light blue, but I feel that it's more medium than light. Okay. So it blends very nicely with the blue in the block. All right. It stands out a little bit on the pink. It stands out a little bit in the yellow. It's not too bad in the yellow, but it does stand out a bit. And it does pop pretty good on the white background. Now, I will tell you, this is my son's favorite because he would want the quilting to show and not the block. But I'm still up in the air. It's a contender, but it's not my favorite, okay? So the next color, one of the things that I always try to pull is a light purple. And believe it or not, this color is very interesting. What I like about, it's called light lilac. There's probably even a lighter one, but this has been one of my favorites. What I like about this color is it actually changes the way that it shows inside other colors. It doesn't really look purple anymore. Now it does have a little bit of a pop in the white here. It's not too bad. If I could get a little lighter, that would be even better. But it doesn't appear to be purple in the blue. For me, it looks a little bit like gray. And in the pink, it blends well. And in the yellow, it blends well. So I always pull this. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I always check light lilac or light purple, okay? Because it's a very interesting color that most people wouldn't think to pull because it's purple. And you think, I don't know. But you would be surprised how many, even in browns, it will blend very well in. So I always pull that. So this is a contender also. But I have one more. Okay, just to give it a little spunk and a little difference, I pulled pink. Because we have some pink in the quilt top. So it's baby pink is what I'm pulling here. Okay. And I got multiple strings pulling. Hold on. Give it a snip here. This was a hot mess. Okay. Thank you. Now, if I just laid this baby pink right on that blue, look how, ooh, that's like something, right? But again, we don't just lay the spool. We take the thread and we lay it across our quilt just to get a feel on how it plays with the fabrics. Now, I got to tell you, this for me was a winner. Yes, I'm getting a little bit of pink that I would get from the inside of this double sawtooth, but it doesn't pop too much. It pops a little in the background, but it's nice. It plays well in the blue. It definitely plays well in the pink. And I feel like it plays really nicely and blends well inside the yellow. So I'm going to quilt this with the squigglies again that I did earlier across the quilt, across the block. And we're going to see how well it did. And I think I'm really going to like it because I want to give it, I just wanted to do something different. Remember, there are no rules, guys. It's what makes your heart sing. And I think this will definitely make my heart sing. So I'm going to get this quilted off camera and I'll be right back at you in just a sec. Okay, I've got her done. You want to see it? I absolutely love it. Here she is. We've got that slight pink tint to it. Just pulling that pink from that fabric. I really, really liked it. I love how it blends really well with the yellow and the blue. Yep, I'm thinking the pink made my heart sing. So, one thread color, very different block than the others that I showed you. And I didn't necessarily go neutral. I just wanted a little bit of something extra to tie the whole block together. And I think that worked well. Love the baby pink. So that is choosing threads in a nutshell, right? But again, there are no rules, guys. There's no right or wrong. It's really what you want, what your heart tells you is great. But if you were interested, that's exactly how I go through choosing my threads for my quilt projects. Now, if you're wondering, I did throw these up here, the ones that we talked about up on the board. Next month, we're going to talk about quilt as you go. So I've got one more block that I'm going to get done, and then I'm going to put them all together in a quilt as you go fashion. There's a lot of different methods, so I'm going to share with you my method because, again, a lot of you have asked, and we'll talk about the benefits of quilt as you go. Now, we'll talk about some errors. Wait, this way? Yeah. I have to rip a little bit of stitches around here, and I'm going to share that with you and what I did to correct it, okay? That way, if you do an oopsie yourself, nothing is the end of the world, and we can definitely get that fixed relatively quickly. So look forward to next month. But in the meantime, we will be on today, Mayhem and I, at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Why? Because we're in here in Virginia. But we'll be at 3 p.m. live for a quilting and answers live Q&A all about thread choices. So if you got some questions, bring them on by. You can also drop them down below in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer them during the live. Other people may have the same question or comment or suggestion. So look forward to seeing you at 3 for that live. I look forward to seeing you next month. Well, first we'll have the Cherub Chit Chat the first Wednesday of the month. You feel free to share your quilts so that we can inspire other cherubs with your work. And then again, we'll be doing the quilt as you go next month. So I look forward to all of that. I hope this was helpful. Until next time, may you all continue to be inspired, productive, ever so joyful. Never stop believing and never stop making your dreams in quilting come true. Happy Hump Day. Whoop, whoop. Happy quilting. And I'll see you all soon.